Hello, and welcome back to the Misfit Business Lounge podcast. I am joined by the beautiful Sarah today, and I'm super excited to be connecting you with her. Sarah is an inspiration, and when I met Sarah, I wasn't expecting anything from the connection, but I knew that there was a reason why we were in a room together. Once Sarah started to speak and just use her voice in the vulnerability and the rawness that she brought to the surface, I knew that her energy was here to serve and that there was a major, major need for me to use my network to connect her with some of you who are going through a similar journey. Now, Sarah, I'm going to let you do the honors of telling us a little bit about yourself and everything that you're an advocate for right now before we go into today's episode.
Okay, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Sarah Stevens. I'm a PR expert, a luxury travel concierge, and an advocate for life after child loss. And when I was at Rosie's event, it brought to the fore that I need to talk about my background a little bit more and my journey. My me as a person, I've got over 20 years experience as a PR expert, working with massive multinational companies, international brands, and smaller SME businesses and entrepreneurs as well now as well. And I've also taught at university, so I know how to explain what I do in simplistic language so that people can understand it and learn how to do it themselves as well. Some of that time I spent working for travel brands. So, a lot of my knowledge is travel related, hence why I have a sideline business as a concierge for travel as well. So I do bespoke holidays and itineraries for people that I really love. And you'll learn a little bit more about that when I talk about legacy. Because sadly, I'm a mum of three, but only my youngest, Aurora, is still with us, and she's 6 now. But my eldest daughter, Violet, would be 9, and my little boy, would be 7 now. So, that's a big part of my legacy story.
And one of the things that I love about you is actually watching you go and explore the world. Because I think as a mom, it's super inspiring. But then hearing the backstory of why you travel and why you throw yourself into having life experiences, it really does get us all thinking about how present we are with life and how we're leaning into the magic that life has to offer. Now, I want you to tell my audience a little bit about your decision to travel more, to explore the world, because I know that that has a huge meaning behind it. And there's a reason why you keep up that legacy of traveling and seeing the magic that the world has to offer.
Yeah, yeah. When my eldest died at 15 months old. Now, when she was 4 days old, she had open heart surgery at Alderhay Children's Hospital. We discovered that she had an issue with her heart at the 20-week scan when I was pregnant. And then following her birth at Manchester Royal Infirmary, she was then ambulanced, blue lighted to Alderhay. And then she had open heart surgery at 4 days old to that had only well, it had there was an 80% chance that she wouldn't survive from that. And I can still remember literally collapsing on the floor, screaming and everything as she was taken into surgery. Before she went into surgery, though, we all remained quite positive with her. And one of the things that I spoke to her about, because I was like, what on earth do you say to a 4-day-old baby, you know? So what I spoke to her about were all the things we were going to do as soon as she was out of hospital, all the things she would experience in the world. I spoke about the places we'd take her to, the different family members she'd meet. So how she'd meet her uncle Tom in New Zealand, and we'd do loads of amazing things with her. And I started to describe the holidays we'd have and where we'd go and all of this. If you know, and I said, you know, we promise we'll take you to all these places if you just pull through. Anyway, so they wheeled her into surgery. It was like the longest 10 hours of my life she was in surgery for. Um, And when she came out, they said, "Oh, the surgeon wants to speak to you." And I thought, "Oh my God, what's happened?" And we went in to speak to him. Um, and he said, I leave um the chest cavity and the rib cage open in case I have to go in and do any more further work, so we don't have to keep breaking it each time. He said, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm that happy with the way surgery's gone, that I've sewn her up straight away, because I'm 100% sure it's a permanent fix, that it's my best work yet. And I was like, oh my God. So so at 10 days old, she came out of hospital back home.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was like a miracle. And so I made promises to that little girl. So as soon as she was well enough, we started traveling with her. So we took her to New Zealand. So she met her Uncle Tom. We took her to Bali. She met people in Bali. We went to Singapore. We went and met friends and family in Cyprus. Went to Ireland. Um, she went to loads of different places. And when she did actually sadly die at 15 months old, it her post-mortem, they didn't know. Initially it was inconclusive, so they didn't know why she died. We had to wait for 2 years for an inquest to find out
Oh
why she died.
my
She
God.
died in Manchester Children's Hospital, but they didn't know why. But what the post-mortem showed is that that surgeon was correct. It was 100% fix. Her heart, he fixed it 100% correctly. So from that moment, when we heard that, we were like, we'll be eternally grateful to Alder Hey Children's Hospital for giving us 15 months with our daughter, because we might have only had her for 4 days. But because we had 15 months with her, we were able to make the most priceless memories. Um, and the ones that are most precious are those ones where we were traveling and the stories, and she touched the lives of others. Because when she passed away, they had a candlelit service in York Minster for her. They had a mass in Killarney Cathedral. We were there for literally a weekend. She met half a dozen people in a weekend there. We don't have any family there, no long-term friends, but they had a mass in her memory at Killarney Cathedral. They had services in Bali for her, and those people who spoke about her, just described her as being very wise. And for someone to describe a 15-month-old as being wise and evoking a sense of peace wherever she went and calm, you
Wow.
know, yeah, and even Catherine Jenkins, the singer, did a tribute to her in Manchester at the concert. Um, Randomly, because we discovered when Violet was teething and everything, that because we put our wedding playlist on in the background, and the one of the songs on the wedding playlist was a Catherine Jenkins song, that because my mother-in-law's massive fan, and we just put one song on the wedding playlist, and whenever this one song would come on, Violet would stop whatever she was doing to listen to it, stop
Oh,
crying, whatever. She wouldn't make any sound because she wanted to listen to Catherine Jenkins. So then I just ended up downloading more and more Catherine Jenkins, because when she was teething and things, it was the only thing that would stop her crying, and she'd just listen to Catherine Jenkins. And I tweeted late one night, "Thank heavens for Catherine Jenkins," and tagged her in it, saying, "The only way my child gets to sleep and stops crying." Um, and Catherine's daughter was the same age. And so Catherine was also up feeding her daughter, saw my tweet come in, and then we had like dialogue on Twitter about our babies. So her eldest little girl is the same age as Violet. And so we had a dialogue and everything. So then sadly when Violet passed away, one of my journalist friends said, "What can I do? You know, what do you need?" And I said, "I know it's random, but can you just let Catherine Jenkins know that I won't be you know, tweeting her in the middle of the night anymore," kind of thing. So she did. So Catherine sent a card for the funeral, and everything. And then we got an invite Catherine did a concert at the Bridgewater Hall in Manchester, and she invited me, my mum, my mother-in-law, who happened to be visiting us at the time. It was all very last minute. And we went to this concert, and she walked out onto stage in a purple dress. All the staging lights were all purple. Everything was violet, basically. And she started off the concert by explaining the significance of the song she was going to sing, and that she'd not sung it since she did so I'm setting you off now. Since she did a tribute over in Japan for the nuclear disaster there, and it was Amazing Grace, and she reserves it for very, very special occasions, and she wanted to honor it and sing it again in memory of Violet. So
Oh,
yeah, it was really powerful. So literally, this one little 15-month-old baby touched the lives of so many people globally. Her ripple had a huge effect. So, and so we decided to like basically reframe everything as being very, very grateful that we got 15 months with her, that she got to create this effect on everyone that she met. People still talk about how she made them feel now. Um, but she would not have been able to do half of that if had we not travelled with her. And had we listened to people who said to us, "Oh, it's a waste of money travelling with her now. She won't remember it. Don't do it. Wait until she's older and she can remember it and everything. And oh, no, maybe you shouldn't travel with a baby and blah 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 blah." But thank God we didn't listen to any of them, and we travelled with her, and that enabled her to impact all these people, but also gave us all these memories that we'll treasure for forever. And we also raised money as well. So because I'm high functioning in my grief, it's the terminology they gave me.
and honestly,
Um,
I'm just in awe of you because you meet so many people through the grievance journey that rightly so, like, it's had a huge effect on every inch of their life. And I'm not saying it hasn't had a huge effect on your life, but I'm in awe of the freedom and the thought process that it's given you as well. Like there's something about the way that you're seeing the gratitude in this that's just mind blowing because as a mom, I can only imagine that I would be floored through this journey. And for you to actually use it as a way to build more legacy with your life, like it is so inspiring. But a question that I want to ask is like how did you get to that thought process? Like, where did you have to take yourself to really allow yourself to honor grievance whilst also seeing what this opportunity was bringing to you in the decisiveness of choosing the presence of life?
yeah, well, I think because when she died, we didn't know why. That was the big question, that they didn't know why. And we had to wait for an inquest and everything. There was a lot of things that felt completely out of control. And it was almost, what can we do? What can I do that will put me back in control, in a smallest sense? And my hubby, who is the most practical, down to earth, calm person, very black and white, not spiritual really at all. Um, he was very kind of, well, look, we could have lost her at 4 days old. So we didn't. We got to spend 15 months with her. And I was like, and that was the facts really, that, yeah, that's what happened. So actually, do you know what? We'll be eternally grateful to Alder Hey Children's Hospital and that surgeon for saving her back then. So whilst I was raging, I was really mad about the injustice of it all, and yeah, we didn't know if someone had made a mistake at Royal Manchester Children's Hospital, so I was annoyed with them, and I had all this anger, and everything. But then he kind of just made me rethink it and actually rethink. Actually, do you know what? We're really grateful to Alder Hey, so we'd like people to donate to Alder Hey in memory of her, and we'll do that. So then that started the ball rolling with building a legacy fund for Alder Hey Children's Hospital, which we raised £50,000 for them, which bought
Wow.
them a new cardio echo machine. And her name is now on the donor board at the hospital. The other thing we decided to do is at the time she had cousins, and her two cousins are similar age. Sorry. Um, so Harry is only 3 weeks. My brother's little boy is only 3 weeks older than her. Um, and then Evelyn, my my niece, my sister's daughter, is a year older than Violet. So I suddenly thought as well, I don't want them only knowing a grave to remind them of Violet. So, um, so her Violet's favourite toy that she was buried with was an elephant called Jingle Jangle.
Oh,
And so we decided to embrace that. So we sponsored the elephants at Chester Zoo, so that all her little friends and her cousins and now her sister, when they want to think about her, we can go to the zoo, and they can go and see the
oh.
elephants at the zoo, and to remind them of Violet rather than having to go to a grave. Because again, I was very conscious that I wanted people to be thinking of her as a life force, not as a grave.
Absolutely. And I think, she had a personality. She was making imprint, she was building a legacy. And I can't help but just sit here and believe fully and wholeheartedly that she was here to shed light, not just in your life, but in a lot of people's life. And I feel the meaning of her life is so much greater, and it continues to serve because even just listening to you speak, I'm sat here and I'm thinking about what can I do to be more present with my children and to make sure that we get those memories in, that we travel more, because traveling in reality can sometimes feel like a chore when it's like I've got this to organize and it's like parenting abroad and like now we're on a
Yep.
different time zone and there's all these things to think about. But the power of traveling is you clock off. You do nothing, you think of nothing, you clock off, you've got your food taken care of, you're not thinking about laundry, and I think sometimes we just need that reminder as parents that that's the only thing that matters. Everything else can wait. Everything else we can come back to. Now,
Mhm.
has this brought, and I've got so many questions I want to throw out there, but has this brought a message that intuitively is here to be spread with the world, whether it be mums or whether it be people in general? Because I feel like there is a bigger
Yeah.
message.
Yeah. So I've started talking about this, about life after child loss, because I sadly lost a second child as well, Arthur, a year after losing Violet, almost a year to the day of losing Violet, which was doubly hard because we didn't know why she died at this point either. Um, but one thing that when I talk about it on stage now, my key message is that so many of us, whether it's in life, when we're thinking of holidays or whatever, or whether it's in business as well, if we're business owners or whatever, we always have a tendency to say someday and one day. Someday we'll do that. One day we'll do this. You know, Someday I'll take the kids to Disney. One day we'll go to Lapland, or someday when I win an award, then I'll do some PR. Or one day, once I land this big client, then I'll invest in PR. So the two go hand in hand. Basically, we're just all of us quite often will procrastinate, and the big things that would really shift things in our lives are the ones that we say one day and someday about. So whether that's a holiday, which will make the most amazing memories with our loved ones, we put that off. Whether it's taking a jump and investing in PR within our businesses, which if people did it from the outset at the start, would enable them to grow so much quicker and get to where they want to be faster, yet they don't, they put it off. And so I almost feel the end of any of my talks, whether it's a PR talk or about travel or whatever, is that there are only 7 days of the week and they don't include one day and some day. So stop using one day and some day. If you really want to do it, assign it a day of the week of when you're going to achieve it by or when you're going to do it by. Stop saying one day and some day, because those days will never come.
And can we just touch on PR a little bit? Because I
Mm,
think a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners are probably sat there and need it. It's one of the most important things is to be visible inside of our business and really look at how we can use that to our fullest potential.
mm,
Why do you feel people are avoiding it? What is effective PR? Because I think well, I know I've had conversations with people that have signed up to be on lists or different things in their business, and it's been the wrong PR for them, and they're not making effective decisions.
mhm.
What does that effective thought process look like inside hiring someone to take care of your PR?
Yeah, well, what I do, I have a be seen strategy that I use with clients. And what I can do is I can teach them how they can do it for themselves, which is quite a lot of people, they'd say, oh, I can't do PR, can't, because they find it scary. It's this big, scary thing that they're scared about doing, that because maybe they've spoken to other PR people who bamboozle them with terminology and things, and so they've built it up as being this big scary thing that, oh no, no, I'm not, and they just avoid it. Um, and I have a favorite analogy about exactly what PR is, because quite a few people, the reason they're scared of it is they don't fully understand exactly what it is. Um, so they get it mixed up with advertising and with marketing as well. And I have this favorite analogy that I always use, that'll lighten the mood a little bit from talking about grief. Um, and my analogy is this. Imagine you met someone online dating, okay, and you've gone out on a first date with them. For argument's sake, we'll call them Jill and John, okay? So if John turns up on his date with Jill and goes, "Hi, my name's John. Nice to meet you. Did you
I
see that
love the
sport?
accent
Yeah, that
there.
sports car I pulled in? That's mine. Did you see that big mansion you drove past on the way here? That's mine too, because I'm just so successful. I've got all the friends. I go on holidays every year. I hire yachts. I'm just really successful. I have a wonderful lifestyle. You're so lucky to be on a date with me." Okay, if he says that to her, he's doing advertising. He's listing off all the good attributes he thinks he has that will attract her. Okay. Now, if he was to rock up and go, "Oh, hi, my name's John. you must be Jill. Oh my God, you're your photos don't do you justice. You are absolutely stunning. I love that hairstyle on you. It really flatters your face shape. And that colour brings out the blue of your eyes. I can see automatically from the smile that you're a really warm and caring and generous person. I'm so lucky to be on this date with you. If he says that to her, he's doing marketing because he's using the words he thinks she wants to hear him say.
It's a red flag.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if on their date she nips to the loo and in the toilet she bumps into another girl who goes, oh my God, I see you here on a date with John. He is the nicest guy you could ever meet. I was at school with him. Um, I know all of his family. I know all of his friends. He was so popular. He was top of his class at school. He was captain of the football team. He was voted most likely to succeed. Although he won't tell you any of this because he's so modest. Um, but you're so lucky to be on a date with him. That is PR. It's just someone else endorsing you. And whether that is the media featuring you, doing a review of you, quoting you as the expert in whatever it is you do, whether that's you stood on a stage as the expert presenting something, whether that's a client writing you a testimonial or a review or recommending you to someone else. All of these things are PR. So usually when I speak to audiences, I ask who puts them to put their hands up, who does PR. And then I do give my analogy, and then I ask them to put their hands up if they do PR, and double the number of people put their hands up because they realise that actually they've already been doing that PR. Because PR isn't just about your media, it's about personal relationships. So I call it personal relationships. Obviously, it stands for public relations, but for me, that's just personal relationships. So it's all those stakeholders that surround you and your business, which includes the media, but also includes current customers, your database, if you've got a CRM system, all those people on that, suppliers, employees, all of those people who are in your world are those people you need to communicate with. Um, so PR is a bigger thing than just media. So I work with clients on aligning everything to them. Because there's more, um, one of my sayings is there's more than one way to skin a cat. So quite literally, there's I've got a PDF of 50 ways you can be seen as the expert at what you do. Because there are so many ways to do it, and it's finding the ways that not only work for your um ideal client and not your ideal client for today, but the ideal client that you want to work with in the future, aligning it with that, but also with you as an individual, with your personal skills and what lights you up and sets you on fire. Because at the end of the day, this is also part of my legacy piece, is that life's too short to do things we hate doing. So yes, you might, you know, make more money and attract you more clients by standing on big stages and talking. But if you hate it and you're battling against not enjoying it, and yes, I'm an NLP trained, so I can help you get over your fears and all of this. But if deep down inside it doesn't light you up, but there are other things that really, really you love and you're brilliant at. So let's focus on your strengths and what you enjoy doing. And then every step of that journey, you're doing what you love and what sets your soul on fire. And you're going to get to your goal quicker. But not only that, it's the journey. And it's the journey that is the most precious thing. So why get all dead stressed and break your neck trying to fit into a box that someone else is saying this is the formula, you have to follow this and everyone has to follow this same formula to get to where you want to be. No, because we're not all the same and we don't all have the same life experience. We're not all the same people. So actually, I can teach you how to play to your strengths and how to do what lights you up. And that's my kind of gift that I've only come to realize this fully this year. Um, but that's what I'm here to do.
And I think more of that, because if we look at some of the biggest brand names, and when I'm speaking of brand names, I
Mm,
mean people with big personalities. Even if you go into like boxing, right? A lot of the boxers are known for their personality types, are known for who they are. And I'm a strong believer that our biggest strategy is who we are. And it showcases
mm,
when we're fully embodied in our genius. You know, when I'm listening to you speak, I can feel your purpose, your passion. I'm crying. Like there's an energetic exchange. And
mhm,
I guess PR done correctly, there's the same energetic exchange because you're taking the pieces of you that are meant to be seen, heard, and felt into magnetization of bringing in your clients.
mhm,
Now, I know that it was never the plan for you to lose a child, to have to speak about losing a child to build your business. But I also know that I've connected with you through your story to then be able to sit there and say, do you know what? I feel like jumping on one of Sarah's PR days, but it's the story that's created the energetic response.
mhm,
And I feel that's something that needs to be seen and heard because ultimately, a lot of people are maybe going into the building of their business through marketing, through advertisement, through saying all of the right things, rather than just dropping into their natural strength, which is their story, which is who they are, which is their personality. And when we can magnetize that, we're going to make more money in your business. We're going
mhm.
to, bring in constant stream of clients. Now, something I want to touch on because there's a lot from different angles that I really want to ask you here.
Yeah.
You spoke about fear and the fear of investment. And as you brought that to the surface, I was thinking about the fear that you must have had around rebuilding as a mom that's not lost just one child, but lost two children, which I
Mhm.
can't even fathom what you went through in that moment. If you can rebuild and give yourself a quality of life that is inspiring to watch you traveling and enjoying your life, how did you move through the fear of saying, "Do you know what? I'm not just gonna sit here and let this situation suffocate me. I'm gonna use it to my advantage." Because there'll be people listening to this that have let fear suffocate them. They're not investing in themselves, their business, they're not choosing themselves, they're not living their life to the fullest. We've spoke about that moment of deciding not to be consumed by grief, but what was the moment that you said, right, my business, like I'm gonna go all in on that. I'm gonna give this my focus and not feel any guilt or fear around that or choosing that given the circumstances.
Yeah, well, I think initially when you go through that kind of grief of child loss, for me, you almost have to embody, because it's only in the last kind of 2 years that I've even been able to plan for the future myself and to see a future and to think long term, because up until then, it was literally all I could do is one day at a time, just almost like they do in AA,
Yeah.
one day at a time and just live in the present because that's all you can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Literally, just live in the do what you can do. And when luckily for me, when um after I lost my daughter, um I had the most amazing PR clients. So I was doing the PR for Iceland Air, the airline, on their America strategy and everything. And I was working with hospitality brand, so big bar and restaurant operator, and a theatre client. And these were all clients that I'd worked with for several years before my daughter died. And they were just so understanding, so wonderful. The main contact within Icelandair that I was dealing with, he was head of the UK, had a daughter exactly the same age as Violet. So he was like, oh my God, like literally. So I was fortunate that they were so understanding. And um, working with them paid me enough to get through, basically, because I I couldn't go out and get new business. I didn't have the confidence. And when you've been through major grief, you don't. Um, you literally just doing one day at a time, and you can't do big picture thinking stuff. I couldn't do the big strategy stuff that I used to do. But I could do for like day-to-day PR. I could still pitch out. I could still do this, could do that. But I couldn't do long-term vision plans or anything like that. I'd almost like lost that ability to do that. Um, and then um, luckily for me, I fell pregnant for a third time, and almost straight after losing my little boy. And then I only needed to work um, when I had Aurora. I only had to work part-time anyway, so that was fine. Those clients kind of continued with me, and Aurora is thriving, which is great. Um, but then
Did you
COVID,
did you
pardon?
have a lot of fear falling pregnant? Because I can imagine that in
Oh,
it.
yeah. Basically, and I did other things to distract me. So, whilst pregnant with Aurora, I rehabilitated a German Shepherd ex-police dog
Oh,
into being a domestic pet. And so I worked with him. And we also put a massive extension on to our house. So I project managed that. And I
everything at
still did my
once.
PR, yeah. And then I also thought, do you know what? While I'm on mat leave for 6 weeks, because I work for myself, so that's all we get. When I'm on mat leave for 6 weeks, I have nothing to do. So do you know what I'll do? I'll do a big charity ball called the Violet Ball to raise a load of money at the Radisson Award in Manchester, and I just put that idea out, sold it out, had 180 people. So I delivered
Wow.
the Violet Ball with a six week old Aurora. Um, and it was just phenomenal. And everyone was like, oh my God, people, friends who work in PR and work in events came to it, and they were like, Sarah, it was the best charity event we've ever been to. It was amazing. Like, when are you going to do the next one? So we were thinking of doing the next one in 2020, but obviously we all know what happened in 2020. Um, and yeah, then in 2020, when COVID hit, that was another big thing because it wiped out my entire business as I knew it. So my airline was gone, my hospitality client gone, my theatre client gone. Literally wiped everything out, and I was plunged back into a really deep grief because I was grieving the loss of my clients. It made me revisit all my grief from losing my children, and so yeah, so that was like just horrendous. And I had a massive breakdown and everything in the middle of COVID. And then I've had to build myself back up from that. Um
And I
and
can
in,
imagine grief triggers at different points in the journey.
yeah, it does. It's never gone. It's always there. You almost learn because people go, "Oh yeah, time's a healer." No, it's not.
No.
It, time just enables you to learn how to live with it. So you just learn how to live with a massive hole, and that's it. And some days are easier than others, and other days are harder than others. Um, but COVID was one of the worst things because that kind of crutch that I was clinging to of my clients and all the things that I loved was suddenly gone. And luckily for me, I'd been approached by my old university tutor who had kept in touch with all over the years, because I did an international business degree specialising in marketing at Manchester Metropolitan University. And he contacted me 2 months before COVID hit to say, Sarah, we're looking for someone who could write a sales and marketing module for our management diploma, who's got real life experience, who can deliver and give examples and everything. Because these are all people who've been released from industry to do the course. And would you consider doing it? And I was like, yeah, never done that before, but what the hell? I'll give it a go. Um, and I'd started doing that in person just when COVID hit, and it turns out I'm really good at teaching people. So that actually then sustained me, because they just gave me stuff to teach online over COVID. And they gave me other courses to teach as well: tourism entrepreneurship, sustainability and entrepreneurship, lots of entrepreneurship stuff as well. And that sustained me. And if it hadn't have been for that saying yes to him, then I don't know what I would have done. But that's when I also embraced travel as well, because I was like, right, I'm I'm in a position, what can I do? And I thought, I need to embrace travel is what I need to do, because I was missing not working with my airlines, which was travel. I need travel. So that's when I